but are we showing ourselves compassion?
It's really so important for our mental health. Dr. Laura Saunders from the Institute of Living is joining us now with why it's really so important. Hi, Dr. Saunders.
Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you as well. All right, so why do we need self-compassion? What is self-compassion, first of all?
So self-compassion is made up of three parts. It's self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. And if you see, Scott, we're really hammering this mindfulness because it's so important. So it's treating yourself in a way that you would treat others, without judgment, with more encouragement and warmth. And self-compassion is so important because it's easy as parents and as partners. You know, sometimes we're really hard on ourselves. And all it serves to do, that self-criticism actually starts to affect your brain. It affects your self-worth. It worsens mental health problems, including anxiety and depression, and it just makes you feel more stressed. So practicing self-compassion is really, really important because it helps you be a better and kinder person.
Well, and if we're kinder to ourselves, sometimes we have to do that first before we can even extend kindness to others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes what people are also willing to do is they're willing to be so forgiving and non-judgmental of other people, but they're so unbelievably judgmental of yourself, right? And a simple example, right? You forgot to send your child's lunch in with them, right? And you know that there's hot lunch options available. And the judgment is, I forgot it. I'm so stupid. I'm a terrible parent. I make so many mistakes, right? Instead of just the kindness approach. I forgot to send lunch in with my kids today. There's other options there in the cafeteria. I'll call the school secretary. I'll let them know. We'll come up with another plan. So it's that severe harshness that's really, really hard on one's self-worth. And if you just feel terrible about yourself all the time, you're not going to be able to be your best self and do good things for other people.
So you say there are affirmations that we should practice?
Yeah. So I actually keep affirmations on my computer, right? And one of my affirmations is I allow myself to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. Another one is I accept the best and worst aspects of who I am. Change is never simple, but it's easier if I'm not so hard on myself. So saying these things, and as I said, I have one attached to my computer screen that I, review regularly, so that if we're a little gentler with ourselves, it just helps us be our best self. And really one of the ways to first start increasing self-compassion is identifying that harsh judgment and reflecting on, wow, I was just really forgiving of someone who did something wrong or made a mistake, but I'm so hard on myself all the time, and recognizing how that makes you feel.
Yeah, and you say it can just, even just thinking like treating yourself as a good friend or naming that inner critic. I think one time I read an article, you should name your inner critic, so I call mine Ursula when Ursula shows up. Because then I guess it lightens it, right?
Okay, mine's named Wanda. So, right, we can all have our inner self-critic. But really that kind of harshness, you realize like, oh my God, I'm not that way to other people. I'm so much more forgiving to other people. Why am I so critical of myself? And it really does affect one's self-worth when that's how you think of yourself all the time. It worsens anxiety. It worsens depression. So it's about changing that script in your head so that you're just, okay, I made a mistake. I can move on. Nothing catastrophic happened. I can do this. And so it's identifying it as a pattern and then, recognizing, wow, when I say those terrible things about myself, I feel bad for hours. And then trying to change that script.
Now, changing the script isn't a one-day process. It's going to take a little time, right?
Well, I wish it was a one-day process,
yeah, me
but
too.
That would keep people like me out of business. So it is about, taking time to identify the pattern and actually saying things. I like to say things to friends or to spouses. Hey, do you really say harsh things to yourself? Do you say harsh things about me? Because I don't say harsh things about you. And when you realize that you're so much harder on yourself than other people are on you, it can be life-changing.
Yeah, when you notice that harshness, I think sometimes people have it because it's like we're in that culture of perform and do better and keep going. And does that really not help us when that voice comes up? Keep going, work harder.
Right. I mean, even for like people that do performance for a living, like athletes, right? They're taught to like envision things in a positive and intentional, mindful way, not to tear themselves down, because when you tear yourself down, the likelihood is you'll make that same mistake over and over again. So it's really reducing that self-criticism, having a more positive and open mindset, practicing mindfulness for a few minutes a day, if that's what you need to do, to just let go of that negativity and just be a little bit more compassionate with yourself. But it is hard in this age of self-comparison when you just see everyone else has got, has got these beautiful lives and you think, I've got such a terrible life.
Yeah, we saw Hoda Kotb yesterday. She, I thought she had the perfect marriage and she's getting divorced, or she's separating from her partner, which I thought was like, bad things can happen to everybody.
Right, and that's actually a beautiful example, because she was so humble in the way that she did that, and really it was a very kind of intentional and thoughtful process, and where she made herself so vulnerable. And she wasn't being harsh on herself. I mean, so at least that's not what she showed to us. But that was a really beautiful example of how you can do self-examination, but tearing yourself down does not help.
So they often say our criticisms, I know we have enough blame to go around as parents, but, did it come from what you heard as a kid or something? If we want to raise kids who have a better self-compassion muscle, how do we do that?
So it is about being a role model as a parent, right? So if I'm walking around saying terrible things about myself, that's what my children are going to learn. So as a parent, really being that role model, and as hard as it is sometimes, especially with teens, to not focus on all the things that they're doing wrong and try to, have what they call the compliment sandwich, right? If you're going to give some feedback, have two other pieces of positive to start and end it, but not being so critical of ourselves and not being so critical of our teens and our kids. I think it's a little easier to be critical of teens because they really try to butt up against us all the time, but it's focusing on what we do well, what they do well as kids, and focusing on what we do well and not staying so mired in the negative.
All right. Thanks, Doctor. We appreciate it. Have a great Wednesday.
Take care.
All right.